Wildfires in this state didn't used to be like this extreme, this often. All 20 of Colorado's largest wildfires on record have burned in the last 24 years, and the biggest beasts have been far more recent. Here's Mark Salinger.
In Moffat County, not too far from where the Lee Fire is burning right now, a sign sits in a field reminding people of a time that's come and gone. The I Do Fire, back in July of 1988, burned 15,000 acres. The sign remembers it as the largest fire in Colorado's recorded history back then. Less than 4 decades later, that fire isn't even close to even making the top 20 list of largest fires in the state.
This era of really big destructive wildfires is pretty new here in Colorado.
Russ Schumacher is the Colorado State climatologist and a professor at CSU. As the Lee Fire grows into the record books, he says it's all because of hot, dry, and windy conditions year after year.
It's not all climate change that's driving this. There's a lot of factors at work, but climate change is certainly one of them.
4 of the state's 5 largest fires have burned in the last 5 years. Cameron Peak, East Troublesome, and Pine Gulch all burned in 2020. The Hayman Fire burned in 2002. And now, the Lee Fire.
We had 6 days in a row of red flag warning conditions, which is low relative humidities, high temperatures, and high winds.
Tyler Nath is the operations section chief working the Lee Fire. It's grown to more than 113,000 acres, bigger than the size of the city and county of Denver. So big, it's taking firefighters hours to drive from the fire camp to the locations they need to battle the flames.
So setting up remote camps and supporting the firefighters with food and places to sleep, and all of those things really become the biggest challenge when these get that large.
All 20 of the state's 20 largest wildfires have burned in the last 24 years. In fact, Colorado has already seen at least 5 wildfires bigger than the I Do Fire just already this year.
The 3 things you don't want from the weather in terms of wildfire are hot, dry, and windy. And we've had a lot of those lately.
Tyler, the operations section chief who you just heard from there, also worked the Cameron Peak Fire back in 2020, the state's largest fire ever. He says they're facing similar challenges with winds and red flag warnings. The terrain is also really difficult. The challenge with the Lee Fire, though, is that while there aren't a whole lot of houses or towns where it's burning, there is a lot of oil and gas infrastructure, Kyle, that's super valuable.
And when we think about the fires that take out a lot of homes and upend lives, often not the biggest acreage fires. There you're talking about Black Canyon, Waldo Canyon, talking about High Park, and obviously the Marshall Fire.
And the Marshall Fire is the most destructive wildfire ever, the costliest, but it only burned about 6,000 acres. So that was only a couple of years ago as well. You look at the most destructive as well as the largest wildfires, those are all within just the last couple of years.
Mark Salinger, thank you.